I believe that the January 6th committee, they are in possession of a treasure trove of information regarding what went on January 6th regarding the assault on the Temple of Democracy and what happened on November the 5th after the election, and all the things that led up to that, all the meetings that were held, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I think that Mark Meadows purposely released all that information because he didn't have to. They didn't know what he had. They had no idea that Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, Brian Kilmeade, Donald Trump Jr. were texting Trump during the time of the assault on the Temple of Democracy, pleading with him to stop it. They didn't know that. They didn't even have any idea that was going on. Meadows gave it to him. And I think he's giving him something a whole lot more than that. And I think he's trying to play both sides. I think Meadows is trying to hang Trump in a metaphor. That's why he released all that information. Now he's trying to play tough guy. Well, I can't testify executive privilege. I think he's conning. I think he wants to see Trump go down like a snowball in hell. That's my opinion. I bet my seat in heaven that Mark Meadows wants Trump to be criminally prosecuted so bad he would even sell his grandmama. Mark Meadows would sell his grandmama to get Trump prosecuted. That's what I smell. That's what I see. Because he didn't have to let him have all that information. Now you got Fox News who can't explain why all of them mainstream reporters were telling Trump to cut it out, to call it off, and yet the next day they were denying it, talking about it's Antifa, or it's a few bad apples. This is ridiculous. This is. I'll tell you, my friend from Lord have mercy, I ain't never seen white people act so crazy. These some of the craziest white people I've seen in my life. Talking about the tribulation. Now I don't say that pejorative. I'm not trying to be racist or anything. I'm trying to be satirical. I do that. That's what I do. The Lord give me a lot of gifts to be able to do a lot of different things. Praise God. And, but I have to tell you, and it's interesting to see a black man like me say, whoa, look at these white people. Come on now. Everybody knows me. Everybody listening to me knows me. No, I ain't, that's not hate. It's just, I'm grabbing your attention. But these some crazy white people. They're over there Fox News and some lying hypocrites like you ain't never seen before. Watch this. By the way, I have to present this from another competing network. Even competing with the Manning Report and the ATLAH Media Network. It's a competing network, but I have to present it because they're the only one presenting it. I'm not in support of them. But, if I find they're delivering some truth, I'll take it where I can get it. So this is going to come from some competing people. But go ahead now and watch it. Mr. Engineer, roll the clip.
The truth matters, but only if you hear it. And for months, this is what Fox News viewers have been watching.
A political speech telling people to peacefully, patriotically let your voices be heard is not incitement, not even close, and it's not insurrection.
The Capitol was under siege by people who can only be described as antithetical to the MAGA movement. Now, there were likely not all Trump supporters, and there are some reports that Antifa sympathizers may have been sprinkled throughout the crowd.
83%, according to Gallup, of Republicans and millions of others do not have faith in these election results. You can't just snap your finger and hope that goes away.
No reasonable person thinks that what happened on January 6th was, as Biden said, the worst attack on the Capitol since the Civil War. There was certainly a lot of violence that day, but it was not a terrorist attack. It wasn't 9/11. It wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to America. It wasn't an insurrection.
Everything that you just watched right there, a big pack of lies. This week, we got concrete proof that those very Fox News hosts knew the truth, but they still lied to their loyal viewers. That proof came in the form of text messages. Texts that then White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows got from those same Fox News anchors on January 6th. Congresswoman Liz Cheney read the messages out loud as the committee debated whether to hold Meadows in contempt. Take Laura Ingraham, for example. She personally texted Meadows this: Mark, the president needs to tell people in the Capitol to go home. This is hurting all of us. He's destroying his legacy. Later that very night on January 6th, she went out and told her viewers Antifa was to blame. Sean Hannity, he also texted Meadows saying this, quote, can he, meaning former President Trump, make a statement, ask people to leave the Capitol? And yet later that night, he pushed the big election lie. again. Both did condemn the violence at the Capitol at some point, which is good in theory, but that was muddled with lie after lie about the election and what really went on that day and who was responsible for it. After Cheney read those text messages on Monday night, it took Fox 24 hours to respond. And instead of owning it, addressing the substance, they went after the messenger.
I want our text messages. Liz, release yours. Let us look at your text messages.
I actually don't care to read any of their text messages because they're all so aggressively boring. They're the most boring people. They're so predictable. It's like hang a piece of meat and they just grab it.
You might be wondering why it matters what a Fox News anchor says, especially when there's so much video of the riot to watch. But here's the thing. A recent poll shows how effective their gaslighting night after night has been. According to the Public Religion Research Institute, only a sliver of Republicans who trust and tune into Fox News and far-right sources say Trump holds a lot to blame for that riot. The January 6 lies are so effective that PolitiFact just crowned it their lie of the year. But that doesn't change the truth, the facts. The truth is that Trump's own officials called the 2020 election the most secure election in American history. The truth is that this scene may have been avoided if Fox News didn't amplify the great big lie that the election was stolen. And the truth is that those who knew better should have spoken up sooner, especially when they were doing it in private messages.
You know, is this a sign of the tribulation? I mean, you got Sean Hannity, who I used to have the utmost respect for, Laura Ingraham as well. I was a Fox News junkie. I'll have to tell you the truth. I'll confess right now and throw myself on the mercy of the court. But this is blatant. Sean Hannity was texting Trump to tell him to call off the riot on the Temple of Democracy. Laura Ingraham did it. Brian Kilmeade did it. Donald Trump Jr. did it. Because they realized in that moment how serious that was and how ugly it was and how it's going to bring him down, going to spoil his legacy. The one thing I can say about the text messages is that it was going to, what was going on January 6th was going to destroy Trump's legacy. They're right. They didn't get him on the two impeachment trials that they had. That was all bundle or Bill Barr stopped it or whatever it was. But this one is going to take that boy down. This one is going to take him. He's through. He's toast. But Fox News is going down with him. You know, now this is obvious. They're trying to now backpedal and trying to act like we didn't really do it, or that he did. This is outright hypocrisy, and there's no way Sean Hannity can look his audience in the eye, or Laura Ingraham, any of them for that matter. And what you're going to see happen is that Newsmax is going to, when Trump starts going down, Tish James is after him. He'll be up here in New York next month, being deposed about criminal activity going on in the Trump organization. She's going to depose him, and he's going to have to sit. And then the indictments are going to start falling. And Mark Meadows, Vice President Pence, they want to take the Republican Party back to some sense of normalcy. Mike Pence believes that he can reorganize the party around some of the ideas of Liz Cheney. He does. He really does. I know Mike Pence, he served Trump faithfully, but he's already now campaigning because he understands that Trump will not survive this. He ain't going to survive it. And little by little, the Trump supporters are going to dissipate. With the information that's coming out, such as what came out now, the Trump supporters are going to have to think twice about even Don Jr. Let me tell you something. Trump is probably ready to cut off his son, Don Jr., to cut him off. Because he may not even have gotten the text. He had to communicate through Mark Meadows. He may have never gotten the text. But now his own son is a witness against him, against his legitimacy, against his authority, against his wisdom. His own son is a testimony. And trust me, the Democrats, Benny Thompson, they're going to play that to the hilt against Trump. It's it. His legacy is over. He's gone. He's still out there, but it's over with. It's all over. But the shouting, the fat lady is in there washing her mouth out with rinse. She's checking her notes and straightening up her uniform and putting on her lipstick and tightening up her wig. That fat lady getting ready to sing on Trump. There ain't no doubt about it. But it is absolutely ridiculous that these people would now turn around and say, well, it really wasn't Trump supporters. It was Antifa or Antithetical or Black Lives Matter. Who are you going to believe? You going to believe Laura Ingraham that was Black Lives Matter? Hell, I see no black people out there. All them white people were black people. Oh, it was just a sprinkling of loons, of renegades. Are you kidding me? There are at least 400 or 500 people climbing the wall, breaching the Capitol. A sprinkling? Laura Ingraham, come on, girl. Come on now. Come on, girl. Come on now. That's what you're selling? If you're selling that, don't you ever get on the corner. Not the street. A sprinkling? Antithetical? Antifa? And Sean don't know what to do. I predict that Sean Hannity will probably be resigning soon, like Chris Wallace. I think he'll be leaving. I think he's sick and tired of Tucker Carlson sitting there looking like he got to go to the bathroom, like a little boy Tucker Carlson looks like a little boy that got to go to the bathroom. He's got great stomach pains. But he's in the car and he's already told his daddy he got to go and there's no bathroom. Look at Tucker Carlson. He's sitting there like, I've never seen that. This is funny. We're in a tribulation. I think that's the only explanation for all that. Just think what my life would be like if I decided to embrace Black Lives Matter, or embrace Obama, or embrace blackness and defend people like Andrew Brown or Michael Brown or Trayvon Martin. Or if I embraced LGBTQ and said, man, and myself perform marriages. Imagine the wealth that I would have. Imagine how often you see me on the news and, and all the people of the community would be worshiping and saying what a great preacher and great pastor I am. You do know that would happen, right? I want you to consider that I will not and never under any circumstance nor the threat of death ever go anywhere near thinking about doing anything as satanic as that. But what I do want to ask you to do is to consider my righteousness. I'm the Lord's servant, and you might want to help me. You might want to say, well, listen, especially if you're at retirement age and your life is settled and your income's, you're pretty much settled for the rest of your days, but you have excess, so you have what you can give, and you can make this ministry. You can further this word to reach the 50,000 righteous men through your giving. Maybe you have stocks, or you have bonds, or you have properties, houses, or land, or jewelry that you could just give to the ministry, cars, automobiles, paintings. I'm just going to give them to that ministry. If Jesus is coming back to Harlem, to 123rd Street, then I want to give my possessions to prepare a place for him. Jesus said he's going to prepare a place for us, but I'm going to give my possessions, my paintings, my gold, my jewelry, my stocks, my land, my property, my houses to prepare a place for him when he comes back, that the land would truly be holy ground for James David Manning as his servant. Thank you for doing that. You'll know how to give. The Lord will show you how, but start doing it immediately. Time is of the essence.
A true man of God. Pastor is a man of God who gives his life to the Lord. He fears no man, and he chooses his battles. He is a very generous man, a loving man, and he truly loves the children in the ATLAH schools. He cares about their well-being, and he cares about the members of the church. Pastor is my father, and I am his son. He only hopes for the best for me. He cares about my well-being, and he is interested in how I am doing He prays for me. I am a really, truly blessed person. He is a man of integrity and honour. Pastor is a man who I trust, and there are not many people who I trust. He helps me when I'm in need. He does not like to see me in hardships or in pain. Pastor is not a man who moans or gets huffy. He is a strong man, a man of power. He's a man who you will never understand because of what he has been through. What he has done for the people is far beyond what anyone can imagine. That is why I love him, and I know he is a true man of God. I put my life in his hands. Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Pastor. Your son Canaan from the UK.
When you